I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the Demon Slayer After Show. We are covering episodes 7 and 8, and we got not one, but we got two special guests in the house, two demons today. Woohoo! Welcome, Greg and Kyle.
Thank you so much. Hey.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming.
We have a live chat going, so if you're watching this live, join us in the chat. And if you're watching it later, no worries, comment down below. We'll go around and introduce everybody. We got our full panel, super exciting. My name is Kari Lane, and let's give hellos. We got Veronica.
Hey, everyone.
We got Jaimi.
What's up, guys? Happy to be back.
Yeah, welcome back. And we got Ollie.
Hey, everyone.
Now, Greg and Kyle, something fun. Ollie has never seen Demon Slayer. Veronica and Jaimi have seen about halfway through, and then I've seen it all the way through. So this is really fun to get everybody's perspectives.
Nice.
Cool.
Perspective.
Yes. And actually, speaking of that, Ollie, what did you think of these two demons and these episodes?
Oh my gosh. Well, I keep saying this week after week. It keeps just getting better and better. I love this. The first episode, episode 7, I believe, when we just get to see Nezuko in action and how she really is someone who isn't just to be, she's not defenseless. She can still defend herself. She can still fight. She can still, I mean, obviously Tanjiro was there to help her, but I love the fact that, to me, the relationship of her just being able to kind of like overcome whatever demons inside her, no pun intended. She's not going to kill her brother. Like, there's something very strong in this anime that I feel like is like family is just, there's nothing that can defeat family ties at the end of the day. And I think that's something that's really like the theme in their relationship.
Nice. And then Jaimi, what did you think of these new characters?
The demons are here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I would never think in my life that I'd be excited about demons. First of all, with Kibutsuji, did I say that correctly? All right. Was it bad? Greg, you killed it.
Muzan is a lot easier, you know.
Muzan.
Yeah.
Even when I was watching, I was like, how are they saying this? What in the world? But Muzan, I mean, Greg, you killed it. I thought, and we'll get more into that, but even from like the alley scene and just the changes in the voice and the inflections, I loved it. And I think that it added perfectly to this anime series, especially since dub sometimes gets a bad rep. You two did incredible with Yushiro. Oh my goodness. Like, I love his character. I love his quirkiness. So Kyle, you killed it as well. I'm excited to see more of his relationship with Tamayo, and I'm just excited to see this anime go forward. I think that these episodes, we're starting to see the climax, and I think that's what's getting me even more into the episode. So I loved it. Ollie, I'm going to piggyback off what you said about Nezuko. She's like, hey, let me do something, okay? Even though it's more like, I loved it.
She thought it.
And I'm excited to get more into it. But again, thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your kind words.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Veronica, what do you think of these episodes?
Yeah, so once again, Greg, Kyle, thanks so much for being here. I thought this pair of episodes was great. It was nice to be able to see Tanjiro in his first fight, like his first real fight as a demon slayer, and see how that went out. Nezuko is so cute. I love the way they animate her when they make her all chibi-like and just like, what's going on? Or when any character basically does that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But these episodes were really good. And I like that I feel like we're finally starting to get down to the meat and potatoes of where demons come from, what their lineage is, what they can and cannot do, and what types of demons there are, because we've been exploring that world so far. So really good pair of episodes.
Okay, Veronica, don't make me hungry with meat and potatoes. the udon in the episode 8 was so good. I'm already starving.
I was mad when he put it in the first place. Like, come on, he could have carried it.
The fact that guy didn't care that he didn't pay for him, he did just like, just
Right.
eat it. I'm like, can I be in that situation? Like, I don't have money, but I'll gladly eat it for you.
Yes. So episode 7, Muzan Kibutsuji. We get our demon bog fight comes to a close because we started that in the last couple episodes. Tanjiro pretty much goes underwater, which was like, what? But that thin air training came full circle and became super useful. Ollie, what did you think of the being able to essentially fight underwater?
I think I was a proud moment as a new fan of this series, just kind of seeing all the trials and tribulations leading up to this. Cause I feel like this was kind of like, yeah, there was like the whole thing with that big crazy demon the last episodes we covered. But to me, this was kind of like, wow, you're like finally getting into the the meat and potatoes, as Veronica would say. Like, this is like he passed the test, and now this is like the first boss in like the video game, you know? So it was really cool to see the success and him working in tandem with Nezuko. So I thought it was awesome. And I'm just rooting for this duo of brother and sister, because it's like, it's just so, I love the relationship. I being close to my sister, like I just relate to their relationship of just trying to help each other and also help others around you, you know, people who you don't even know, strangers off the street, you know? So it was really cool to watch this episode.
Yes. And actually, yeah, speaking of sister, we get Nezuko. She's defending the humans, and it's great that like she's had this programming that essentially she'll be safe around human beings and just kill the demons, or at least the bad ones. And her fighting style was so fun. Jaimi, what do you think of how Nezuko is like high kick pretty much and just so strong against this bog demon?
Talk about blunt force drama. She's like, she comes with the moves. I loved her high kick just straight out the bat. Like, Nezuko is just showing, like, I might be quiet, so you think I might have been in a coma, as a quote for about 3 years, but don't sleep on me, get it? Don't sleep on me. But yeah, I love seeing her in action. I even just, again, the animation is so beautiful, and it puts you in a trance. When I see Tanjiro go underground, or in the sunken place, as I like to call it, I think it's incredible to see him fight like that. I also thought it was really cool to see him, in my opinion, be ruthless a little bit. He's such a nice guy, but when he cuts off the demon's arms and slices his mouth, I'm like, oh, yes, that's what we need. And so I was here for it. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. I was here for it.
Nice. And then this is when Tanjiro then questions the demon about like who, you know, tell me more about Muzan. So he won't even talk about this person.
Poor thing.
Greg, how does it feel that you're just that ruthless and whatever you want to put in there, that demons cannot even say your name?
Yeah, I don't treat them very well. So. No, I absolutely love this role because they told me at the beginning that he's not a nice guy, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I did some of the scenes. I'm like, holy shit, you really aren't kidding. Oh shoot, I swore. Is it okay?
It's all right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
He did it, so
yeah, I guess it has to be okay. But what's fun about him is that, you know, obviously a lot of what he does is very menacing and very threatening. And yet I actually, in order to allow my voice to sit in that place, I have to remain very calm and very zen. And so it's sort of like, if I get too riled up, then I kind of lose it. And so whenever I'm recording for him, it really is this kind of interesting exercise of really sort of letting go and letting my body relax and then saying this really evil stuff. So it's a fun process. I like it.
I imagine you doing a couple
Yeah, exactly.
Before you start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have poor Kazumi, you know, his fiance is gone, but at least he has the confirmation, like, you know, not wondering what happened to her. Now he knows, and he gets the hair ribbon that Tanjiro gives it back to him. I was wondering, like, what is he grabbing in the water? And that's like, oh, it's the keepsakes, which is really like gross, but really sweet at the same time. And we get a momentary quick flashback of when he was a human, which is also that little clue to Muzan, which was interesting. Veronica, what did you think of that bit when Tanjiro's talking to Kazumi and he's pretty much like, you need to go on living. I mean, this sucks and this is awful, but you're alive. And he is a response of like, oh, what do you know? But then he realizes, yeah.
I mean, it's tough, you know. Kazumi in that moment was at his most vulnerable, at his weakest. He just lost the person that he loved so much in the world, and at that moment, he probably feels like there's nothing more to go on for. And so it's hard for him to look at the positive. It's hard for him to kind of look at that silver lining of like, oh, you know, at least you still have this opportunity to go on living. and the rest of your village and every woman in the village is now safe because this demon is gone. So it's, I don't blame him for kind of having that moment of weakness and accidentally uttering something that seemed insensitive, because that's just where his mindset was in the moment. But it is something that he eventually realized, like, oh, these guys who are putting their lives on the line for us have also been through their own hardships and trauma. So it's always kind of nice to keep that in mind. And something else that I want to bring up was just a cool tidbit of how we learned from this demon that how depending that your level of strength comes from kind of how much blood you were given from Muzan, because he made that comment of like, oh, she's strong. She must have gotten a lot of blood. So I thought that was kind of like a nice little sneak tidbit of information.
Good catch. Yeah, that moment then Tanjiro gives, like, it's not even with words, just the look in his eyes, and he conveys like, no, I have been there, is just powerful. And it speaks more to Tanjiro's character of empathy and, caring about people. And then Kyle, something else some people might not know, you were involved with the script a bit in the first 10 episodes.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you were involved?
I did what's called the script adaptation for the first 10 episodes of the show, which basically it's I'm given a raw translation of the literal meaning of what is being said. And I think in the case of Demon Slayer, what I was given was basically just a transcript of the subtitles. Typically we get a little bit more than that, but for whatever reason, that was the version of the translation that I had to work with on this show. And then I have to take that and try and make the words A, make sense in English, and B, fit the timing of the mouth flaps and stuff. And I did that for the first 10 episodes, and then after that point, I handed things over to Lucian Dodge because I was getting pulled in too many different directions at once.
That's incredible. I know that has to be so difficult and challenging to do, especially to make it, something that's attractive for our ears to hear in English. So I commend you on that too, which I know we'll get into this episode, but I'm just gonna mention it right now. Just even with moments where Tanjiro is like, Nezuko is beautiful, and like, it goes off to another scene. I think it's incredible how you guys are able to do that. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's a fun puzzle, but it's definitely it gets very frustrating at times when it's you need to convey a whole bunch of stuff in a very short period of time, or the opposite, and you have to try and figure out a way to just add a whole bunch of words without it sounding like you're adding a bunch of words.
And to even make it current, to make it sound like today's language, even though the show is not that old, but when he was like, oh, she's under the wrong lighting. Like that's something that we would say in today's days. And I think that's incredible. And it takes a unique person to be able to tap into that, into today's language. So, yeah.
Not that Kyle's ego needs any more inflating. There was an Italian producer. Well, he's an American anime producer who now lives in Rome, and he wanted me to send some samples of my work, and I sent him the clip in the alley where Muzan said his nicest, and and he wrote back to me. He didn't even comment on my performance. He's like, "Who did this adaptation?" He's like, "It is extraordinary. It's exquisite." I'm like, "I'll give you his email." So.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, sure. It's a true story.
Nice. Well, essentially of being overwhelmed, we have Tanjiro when he arrives in Tokyo, and he's overwhelmed by all the lights, the building, and the people, and this is just kind of adorable because he's just, small town, small village guy, and now in this big city. And yes, R.I.P. that udon. It looks so good. It's like, no! And he goes after that smell and knows it's the smell from his house and discovers Muzan. And Ollie, what did you think when this person who's possibly evil, like we don't know just yet, but he turns around and has a child and a wife, and Tanjiro's like, pump the brakes instantly.
I'm thinking he's still evil. Forget the child and the wife. No, it was funny because I have to say this. I was talking to Jaimi before the show, and Jaimi like gave me the biggest revelation that he looks like Michael Jackson. What's up with that? Like, can someone, Greg, Kyle, can someone help me? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm new to this. I'm a noob. Noob. I'm a noob. So I don't know anything going on. I'm kind of going into this blind. But we have this character that just really is reminiscent of Michael Jackson. So I don't know if that's like, I don't know what that is. I don't
It's
know
a thing. It's been a
it's
thing for a long time. I've gotten tweets of just like random clips of a Smooth Criminal video and like on Twitter. So yeah, it's been a thing for a while.
Yeah, I was like, what in the Michael Jackson you rock?
Yeah. And it's not wrong. Yeah.
I know. Tanjiro, are you okay? Like, I was like, but
stop asking me.
But it just, I think this was kind of like the pivotal moment of like, oh, here's our big bad, you know. But it also, I don't know if it's humanizing him having this quote unquote family. I don't know. It kind of like, yeah, like kill him. But at the same time, you see like this quote unquote daughter, this quote unquote wife. I don't know if this is real. Like, am I being too noobish? I don't know. But it really gave me a lot to kind of process as a new viewer to the series.
Well, I mean, Ollie, to piggyback off of your noobishness, I mean, I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, is this a scene that's meant to humanize this villain? But then at the same time, I'm like, is humanize the right word? Because we don't know his motivations. You know, maybe we're seeing, oh, how nice, how cute, he has a family, you know, he's trying to be normal. But then he goes and like slices some dude and turns him into a demon. And we don't even know if he's like using these characters as a family cover or if he actually cares about him. So a lot to think about. I don't know if I'm ready to say like humanize, because I don't know if he actually cares about them or if he's using them.
It appears to me like it's the perfect cover. Like, yeah, his whole like motivation, like trying to keep all the demons from talking about, like even mentioning his name. He's supposed to be completely anonymous, and masquerading as a normal human with a normal family is just the perfect cover for that.
Anybody
though, to like follow up, you know, and that short-lived moment where we think, oh, maybe we're supposed to. He just like, so the SWAT move, which is super cool, by the way. It's like, it's not like it was like a little. I mean, he's full on like his whole arm in the middle of a bunch of people, and it's basically like a super gross version of, hey, what's over there, you know? And then like SWAT turns into like a demon and stuff like that. So I mean, he's not being that careful, but.
This is true, but you know, it's people aren't really believing in the demons, most of them, unless they actually have firsthand account, because they're just like, oh, he's being weird or he's drunk. They don't understand, and you're like, whoa, hold on, everybody. I was gonna say, one, the being normal, very reminiscent of Full Metal Alchemist. There's a couple. There's an evil character that pretends to have a family. And then also the Michael Jackson thing, good point out, Ollie and Jaimi. I don't know if any of you had seen that thing going around mainly on Twitter of like, I'm going to tell my kids this is, and it was a picture of him, and instead I'm going to tell my kids this is Michael Jackson. So it's a little bit unfortunate that Tanjiro's too good, because like too good of a person, because in that moment you're like, oh dude, just kill him now. It's okay. Forget the kid, forget the wife. It's like they're not really, who cares? And then yes, we get that slice and turns into a demon. Greg, what did you think of the initial, for you, when you first got this character, like the look of him too, and then embodying that almost a bit of sophistication too?
Yeah, I mean, you know, honestly, the clothes I did notice. I love the hat. But what really got me were his eyes. I think that's what really drew me into what I was going to do with him. They're just so intense, and so you cannot look at those and think that that person is a nice person, you know. Nice people don't look like that. You don't have eyes like that. So, but yeah, the clothes and sort of like the interesting thing is the first scene I dubbed was the one where he's, you know, holding the dude up by the neck and stuff. And so it was still a little bit in shadow. It was still a little mysterious. But yeah, the kind of crisp look that he had, it sort of informed like, well, we don't want him to be like a mustache twisting, cackling beast voice, anything like that. You know, he really should sound like a guy who's got it under control. It's just that he's saying really awful stuff, So yeah, it was informative.
I think the difference though between some calm voiced villains, because there's been plenty, but they're not always that great, in my opinion. And I think the difference between them and what you've done with yours, it's the inflection and how you've changed your voice throughout. Sometimes it can be like with other voice actors, it can be very monotone and not much feeling there at all. But it's the alley scene, and even when I did see him slash the guy's neck within the crowd, I loved it because it shows like this guy is cunning, he's sinister, and he's gonna do whatever it takes to keep his cover. And I loved it. So yeah.
Oh, thanks, Jamie.
Yeah.
Veronica, so that scene leads us into episode 8, the smell of enchanting blood. What did you think of the rest of that demon attack? So pretty much demon goes after his girlfriend, wife, we don't know, bites her shoulder, and Tanjiro's trying to keep everything under control. What do you think of that scene, Veronica?
Once again, like we've talked about Tanjiro and how, he's a character that's full of empathy regardless of, who you may have become. We've seen how a lot of people in this world will categorize demons as monsters and will automatically hate them regardless if, 2 seconds ago it was their wife, their husband, brother, father, sister, brother. Yeah. Regardless if it was anyone that they cared about. And so that's just, Tanjiro doesn't care who it is. This person is still a person. And I like how that scene kind of went into the introduction of these 2 new characters, who was such a treat to see that demons do have the ability to restore some sense of their humanity and live on as normally as possible.
Actually, yeah, speaking of that, thank you. We get Tanjiro yelling at Muzan like I'm gonna come get you. I like that Muzan actually does kind of hold on a second and listen to it and doesn't completely ignore him and realizes this kid might be a problem. Kyle, that leads us to the introduction of your character. We see the aroma of the visual fantasy, and we see a female demon and your character. So let me know, tell us, how was it voicing this character for you, and what did you think of his initial character design?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was by the time that I knew that I was playing the character, I had already seen the first 13 episodes or whatever, and written a couple anyway. I don't know if I'd gotten to the point. I may have actually already adapted these episodes by the time they told me that I was playing the character. So I knew, I mean, as much as I know now about the character, I had already learned by the time I got cast. And I think his arc is interesting. I think there's history there that is still yet to be uncovered. At least at this point in the story. And I think he's just a lot of fun, ranging from the calm and clinical just servant to absolutely drill sergeant level intensity with Tanjiro and no, you have to do what she says, and you're not allowed to get that close to her, and just kind of go into that Gene Wilder level outburst. That's a lot of fun.
Yes. Ollie, what did you, we've talked, and this is for everybody, and then Ollie, the art, is just gorgeous, and we get these flowers. What did you think of the style there when these cut flowers kind of come from nowhere?
First I'm like, okay, who's this character? But I absolutely love the art. Like I look at my blank walls in this room, I'm like, wow, boring. I just love the detail in this art, and also it's very versatile with the art throughout the anime. Like you see the comical scenes where then Tanjiro and Nezuko, they get those blank faces, or there's no detail in them because it's comical and they're having fun. But then there's also just so much detail in kind of the fight scenes and the art when he uses his attacks. And so I just live for the art whenever it gets to those really fine details, because I definitely love the details. But it's cool that it has the best of both worlds in Demon Slayer.
Absolutely, yeah. That scene, it's just gorgeous. We see this art come out, and we don't know her name just yet, but Tamayo. I like that she points out to Tanjiro, you referred to this transformed you called them a person, and that's what stood out to her. And I think that's probably, and then Kyle, if you want to talk about in the adapting of, are these moments for her that made her want to, know more about this young man because of how he referred to a demon, and clearly he didn't just destroy the demon right away.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the whole reason that she steps in to help when she does is because she recognizes that he may not see her as that villainous they, because of the fact that he tries to stick up for this recently turned demon and says this guy hasn't done anything wrong. It's not his fault.
Yeah. Then we learn they go back to he comes to get her. Your character Yushiro comes to get Tanjiro at the udon stand, and Jaimi, how you were saying earlier, says that Nezuko is an eyesore, and it's so like what? Like it's so random and rude, and I like how much Tanjiro is so offended.
I mean, I was offended. I was like, oh, she's best girl. Why would he say that? I find it funny because I feel like for me personally as a fan, I always look for the angsty anime boy in anime. And so far Demon Slayer has just been filled with such like very nice, like humbling and vulnerable characters. And I'm like, yes, Yoshida's angsty. I love it.
Yeah, he is really angsty. I think what I like about Yushiro is that his demeanor it looks very calm, like he's this innocent boy, like he wouldn't harm a fly. And then it's like he goes 0 to 60 so quickly. So I love that. And then with his comment, like in the dubbed version, he says that she's not much to look at, and it's like I do love that scene where it just kind of shows Tanjiro's face because he's thinking, and even I was thinking like, wait, maybe he means something different, but it's like no, he's calling her ugly, and I just thought that was wild. And I think it makes his character seem even more quirkier. Yeah
because it's like why do you need what does that have any relevance to anything?
I think it's just Yushiro probably projecting. He's probably looking at Nezuko and going, ooh, she's kind of cute, but I can't because I'm in love with Tamayo.
Shaking my head.
All right, I like that. That's a good one. So he brings her back. He brings the two back to the cloaked home, which is really cool, of a way for them to be safe. And it's through the wall, which I like that Tanjiro even has a hesitation of like, wait, what? And we learn, so demons, or at least this particular one, Mayo, is able to, she tweaked her body and removed the curse of Kibutsuji's curse, which is really interesting because it's like, you can do that, and we wonder how. And she buys blood and doesn't eat humans and pays people for it, so if they're poor, it's like win-win. Ollie, what did you think of this arrangement? We meet this doctor, she pays poor people for their blood so they get money.
All I'm thinking is that, wow, I'm in the wrong profession. I need to get on her level. But I mean, heck, you make, what's that old saying, make lemons out of lemonade, and she did that with this. So it's really cool, but it definitely did a good job of kind of drawing into these new characters that just appeared in this episode. I don't think they're in the last episode, but it kind of made you like, oh, okay, what is these two characters' deals? And it was really interested in see how successful they were.
We also learn. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, the more we learn about demons, I'm starting to think they're just becoming vampires. The fact that they can't be out in the sunlight, the fact that Tamayo is like, I won't turn them unless they don't want, unless, they're dying and they have no other choice, which is very Twilight of her. And then Greg, for your character, I'm actually curious if you got this idea of that. I feel as though Muzan is a sire since he's creating all of these demons and they all have this connection to him because they have his blood. And if you kind of thought, oh, it's, in terms of lore, it's kind of like a sire. And is it possible he can sense, if someone breaks, like if someone becomes somewhat human again?
Well, that's what I'm interested in seeing with the next season. If he's even going to be present, I don't know. But that type of thing would be revealed if he's sort of, far away from the action and yet is still involved. So to be honest, I don't know. It was kind of, that question was lingering in my mind as well. But at this point, I feel like it could go any way with that.
We know he's got the curse that can track anybody who uses his name, that anybody he's infected uses his name, he knows, and they die instantly.
So spoilers.
No, that happened in an episode you guys already talked about, didn't it?
It's going to be in 9 and 10.
It's okay. I stopped listening.
Did I get jumbled on the order of events? I thought that happened.
It will be soon. We won't say who, but yes.
I'm sorry, Ollie.
You're
I thought
fine. You're fine.
thought that happened.
I'm forgetting this moment.
Thought that happened already. I'm sorry.
But yes, Kyle, as you're saying, he has clearly some connection to the people he has affected. Probably it will get explored more later, but also I think unless he says it specifically, we the viewers won't know, because Tanjiro won't know, and that we're seeing this world through his eyes.
Yeah.
So we shall see. And then speaking of that, so we learn Yushiro, he's been made 200 years ago, which is like another time of dating everybody. So that was cool. Because we don't know how long. And it's very interesting. We get Tamayo and she wants to study Nezuko, which is kind of interesting. What do we think of that? Of like, she's fascinated with Nezuko because she does seem different. Veronica, what did you think of that kind of idea of Nezuko could be maybe new knowledge for demons?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's interesting because at this point, we still don't necessarily have all of the details of Tamayo's background. She said she was able to tweak her body and get rid of this curse, but we don't necessarily know what was that kind of like moment of epiphany where she was like, oh my gosh, I can, I feel human again. I'm able to control, my hunger for humans and stuff. We don't know any of that yet. But I think from just her personal experience, she can already tell that Nezuko is different because of how, Nezuko is still not necessarily fully human. She can't really speak like other humans can, but she has been able to control her hunger and in the methods that she has been by sleeping. So I think for Tamayo, it's interesting because Nezuko has been able to essentially accomplish what she's accomplished, but in a very different way. And I think in terms of just like science, that's something you want to study of like, how did you achieve that?
Mm-hmm. And then we leave our characters at the end with an attack because of 2 characters sent there. Ollie, what do you think of this moment of like, oh, everything's cool, and then it's like, poof.
I know, it got so loud. Like, it got so loud. It was quiet. And then we come in these demons. These demons reminded me of like those kids who play with like those bouncy balls in Walmart. Like, I was like, ah! But it always just kind of leaves you. I feel like with each and every single episode of Demon Slayer, it ends on like a cliffhanger or something that just leaves you wanting more. I'm like, how are you just going to end the episode with this like amazing attack, like ambush? Like, how dare you? But I think it's also great because it gets me, someone new to the series, wanting to watch the next episode like ASAP. So these demons seem so like cool and calculated and like almost human. I don't know. They appear differently to me as opposed to other demons that we've seen so far. I don't know if that's a thing, but they're definitely really interesting. I like them, even though they're evil.
Well, we have seen different levels of intelligence. So it's kind of similar to, as Veronica was saying, like vampire lore of kind of the ancients versus like feral ones. So there's kind of different levels of maybe how much blood they have, how long they've been a demon, how many humans they've consumed. And then that leads us to the original demon. Greg, so we have your character when he's walking down the alleyway and these drunk people make the bad mistake of bumping into him and pointing out that he looks pale. He looks like he's dead. And apparently that is terribly offensive.
Yeah, I didn't react. I maybe overreacted a little bit. But yeah, that scene was it was kind of like one of those things where you do a line and then they give you some more footage and your jaw kind of drops. You're like, okay, I guess I'm doing that to this person, So it was, again, one of those moments where something really gnarly is going on. And it's like whatever anger and aggression there is, it does need to be subtle. It needs to be sort of bubbling under the surface as opposed to being, really you always have to keep a hold of it, And so that's that. I mean, he's in general a lot about that. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
What I really liked about your character's introduction, Greg, was I feel like in some other anime, when there's a villain or kind of this mysterious character, they're always referenced and we see like their silhouette, but we never really, but when they're introduced, it's kind of like more calm because of that. Your guy was just like, I'm going to show you why I'm a big baddie. Just like right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think also what I like about it, just to kind of piggyback off what you said, Greg, is that it is like a gradual development of his character. I think what we saw from Muzan was about 10% of his character. Like that is just surface level of what we're about to see, and that's what excites me. And I know Ollie was saying like before every at the end of every episode, it's like they have a cliffhanger. I love it. Like the last episode with Muzan slicing the guy's neck, and then this one with the big balls coming through. I loved it all. So yeah, I just think it's incredible how they do that. Also the scene where Muzan, but honestly, I don't want to say Muzan. Is it Kibutsuji? Is that how you say it properly?
I think we were saying Kibutsuji.
Kibutsuji. Okay, I like how it sounds better. So,
Kibutsuji.
but when he puts the finger to the head, reminds hip hop reminds me of Bone Thugs and Harmony Crossroads music video. There's a scene, and he puts the finger to the forehead, and he used to creep me out as a kid because the old guy's his eyes turn black. Check it out. Also, that's a classic, so you should make sure you watch that, whether you're an anime fan or not. But it reminded me of that, and I just thought it was incredible. I can see the blood come off of his finger. Like, I'm so into this show. So moments like that, beautiful and gross.
Yeah, very.
I love that you said the show has balls, because it does.
It does.
All kinds of balls and different size balls. Yeah, Greg, what did you think of? So we get that he's flooding her body with his blood and seeing how much a human body can take, and it cannot take it. And he feels he's close to perfection. And then, yes, that paleness implies he does not look like a human. So he's trying to pretend to be a human?
I mean, he's apparently just running experiments, and just sort of trying to figure out how it is that he can go about his business. And, like Kyle said, like being, again, I don't know how much you're keeping cover when you jam your finger into somebody's forehead in the middle of an alley. You never know who's going to be strolling by, but, it's, it is an interesting sort of, he leaves a lot of questions, but they will be answered. And yes, Jamie, you're right. Like kind of the best is yet to come for sure.
I can tell. I had a question too. Is I can tell he's a powerful character, but is he insecure? Like I know we had mentioned about how he didn't like being talked about with his looks, but I'm wondering if that goes deeper into how he became a demon, and does he like being a demon? Because he has this whole cover. He wears these business fancy clothes and a fedora. Is something underneath his hat? All these questions that's also gonna like tie into predictions too. And you don't have to answer this if it does spoil it, but those are just thoughts that I'm putting out there in case other fans have those questions too. Is the guy insecure? Like, and maybe he's taking advantage of these other demons and humans because of something that happened with the demon in his past, and he has resentment or something. So that also goes to show that we haven't gotten that far, but that's what's crossing my mind.
Yeah, no, I think those are valid questions. Obviously, I can't comment on that. I do know, but I can't comment on it. But it's yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times that is one of the tropes of sort of a villain, is that they were hurt at some point and they want to get back at the world, and you know what I mean? They called me Mr. Glass, so it's like you just have to it's expected, and whether it happens or not, I think it's always a nice surprise if they take it another way. But if it's done correctly, yeah, then they become a little bit of a sympathetic character. And there's a lot of stuff to be mined from there that can be rewarding for the viewer.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to everybody seeing more revealed on his character. Which we also get a little bit of information, the Hanafuda earrings that Tanjiro wears in a flashback from Muzan's past of somebody else wearing them with similar-ish hair-ish. So,
Very Rurouni Kenshin. That's what it reminded me of. The hair.
As Kyle also goes,
I feel like, I don't know, this show has, in terms of aesthetics and maybe even kind of a little bit of storytelling, has reminded me a lot of Inuyasha. I'm thinking reincarnation. That can happen in anime.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
Any thoughts from the host before we get into some quick predictions on the episode? All right.
That's what I got.
All right, let's get into some predictions. We're doing our prediction music. Come on, wait. Yes. Cool. Veronica, Veronica, what are your predictions? You kind of were saying it a little bit, but what are you thinking?
Reincarnation.
Okay, nice. Jaimi, you said a little bit already as well, but what about you? What are some predictions you have?
Okay, so I have an idea what's gonna happen because I did see the 2 episodes before, but it was like a while back. But at the same time, this helps me to really pay even more attention because when I watched it before, it was subbed, and you guys know that I am a dubbed fan. So I'm excited to watch it dubbed within the next week. And from what I know, people are gonna get hurt. Things might be okay, things may not. But I think we're gonna find more about these characters and what they can do and what motivated them. And I think that the fans who have seen it and have not seen it, they'll be really excited. And I'm excited for next week.
All right, and Ollie.
Real quick, I think they're gonna go balls to the wall. No pun intended. We're gonna
some balls through the wall.
But through the wall.
Walls of steel. Superpowers. Super balls.
We're gonna meet more characters, and I'm standing by this prediction because I feel like this episode kind of like spoke a whole lot about like the 200 years, about like fixing the body and whatnot. So I don't long-term wise, I don't think Nezuko is going to turn back into human. So that's my long-term prediction. Just saying, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I love her as a demon. She's the cutest thing ever. Best girl, I agree, Veronica, but those are my predictions so far.
Yay. Greg, any other final thoughts on where we are up to these episodes of your involvement with the show? Because there's more about your character later, but we can't say anything about that yet, but
I mean, this is pretty much, it just kind of showed up and started wreaking some havoc, and it's, all I will say is that as far as Jaimi's idea, like maybe things will be okay, I'm going to say not really.
Maybe.
Yeah. But obviously I don't want to reveal too much. It's, it was a very rewarding introduction for me, and I'm excited to share with everyone where it goes from here.
Nice. And then Kyle, this is also just the introduction of your character, and he does get a little bit more in the next upcoming episodes. But any other final thoughts on your involvement as well in the show?
Well, I mean, next week you guys are covering the next 2 episodes, which is kind of the end of my involvement. So I will be in the dark after that point. And I'm curious to learn more about Yushiro and Tamayo. More than I got through those first 10 episodes.
Nice. And also from our guests, any other things you would like to say to the fans in general, or new people to Demon Slayer, or older fans who have been with the franchise for a while?
Thank you guys for all your support.
Fun watching.
Yay, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure talking with you about the show and your involvement with it. It was super fun. Any last minute questions from the rest of the panel?
Nope, my dog is like chewing my right arm off. If you guys have seen my shelter like this, I've been trying to hold my
oh no! Trunks is a demon.
His name is Trunks, like my little Chihuahua demon.
Nice.
Oh, one thing I will say that that in case it wasn't clear before, I love the Michael Jackson tweets, so keep those coming.
Very cool.
They're hilarious.
Well, also from our live chat, Alan Gamino says, you guys are awesome, Greg and Kyle. Linda Von Ree sends hearts. So thank you, everybody who watched us live. If you're watching it later, awesome. Please comment down below your thoughts on these episodes. No spoilers. Don't get ahead. We're doing 2 at a time each week, and it's so fun to dive into these episodes. Let's give everybody their shout outs of where they can find you online. Ollie, where can people find you online?
Hey guys, you can follow me at Ollie Jamer on Twitter and Instagram.
And Jaimi?
Hi guys, you can find me on Twitter at It's Jaimi Gray, Jaimi. But better yet, I'm on Instagram. Twitter, I might rant about a bad flight. I might try to put that airline on blast and then delete it. Or, I might be on Instagram posting random pictures. So yeah, follow me there. JAIMIGRAY.
Very cool. And Veronica.
Hey everyone, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at it's me, Veronica_V.
And Greg, where can people find you online? And do you have any upcoming projects you can mention at this time?
Unfortunately, I can't mention them. I mean, there's been buzz of if something's on the internet already, I can talk about it, right?
Right.
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, we'll see if I ever work again. But there's been buzz of Megalobox season 2 that I was a part of that I'm super excited for, and One Punch season 3. So we'll see what happens there. Twitter, Greg_Chun. Instagram, for some reason, X Greg Chun X. Don't ask me why. And most importantly, Twitch sings Greg Chun VA. Come sing duets with me.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh my God, 2 X's, no triple X?
No, not this time.
Hey.
I left that life behind. I don't want to go back there.
In the past. We're not joking.
And Kyle, where can people find you online? And if you have any projects you can shout out at this time?
Yeah, I mean, most of them are still under non-disclosure agreement. I know I am the voice of Ichimatsu in the dub of Mr. Osamatsu, which we announced almost 2 years ago now, and it still hasn't come out yet. We are still working on it. It's coming someday. I don't know when, I don't know where, but you can watch for that. That's about the only project that's still that I'm still working on that I can talk about. Everything else is under NDA. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/Kyle McCarley. You can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Kyle McCarley.
Awesome. And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And if you are a fan of quirky sci-fi, Vagrant Queen After Show, we have that on Sundays at 3. We got 2 more episodes to go. And also, very different direction, but if you're a fan of historical fiction, Bark Skins is coming out starting tomorrow. And so check out those if those are genres you enjoy. Again, thank you so much to our guests. It was super fun talking with you about this show.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Nice. And thank you, the rest of the panel, too. Super fun to dive in every week. And we'll see you all. Thank you for watching. See you next week.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners.